Hey, Books to Fam, Book Talk, book bibliophiles, everyone that just loves to read. I wanted to share with you just a bit about my journey in reading this book, Grief is Love, Living with Loss by Marisa Renee Lee. This book was suggested to me by one of our bookstagrammers, and at the time, she and I both had experienced a very significant loss. Those of you who are aware of my own journey and story are privy to the knowledge that I honored my mother through her transcendence and passing on December 8th of 2023, just shy of 5 months ago. And when I purchased this book, I was so excited to read it. It's such vibrant colors on the cover and just wonderful reviews to follow. As you can see, there's a little bit of breaking of the binding because it's actually traveled with me every place that I've gone since my mother passed. And when I say the places I've gone, I have resided in nearly 6 to 7 places since she left this earthly realm. One of the things that I can say is that I immediately upon opening this book, and I actually recall one of the things that my friend said to me when she shared this book as a recommendation. She said, "You know what? Hey, Missy, when I open this book, in the first couple of lines, I just started crying. I just started shedding and I was releasing." And I remembered that because I don't know what it is, but sometimes there are books that I will purchase or I'll get access to and I will read immediately. And then there are other books that, they just sit in a pile. I'm sure you have experienced that. Those of us that are book lovers and bookworms, we have piles and piles of books, whether hard copies, soft copies, or even electronic or audible or audiobooks. And so it's not uncommon to sit something to the side and let it find you and let it flow to you. And that's exactly what happened. To be honest, I've had a really trying week. I've lost a lot. I've gained even more. And I think in my, what I would call darkest of moments, I felt lonely. And so this book was just looking at me. And it just so happened that in addition to that, the Black Girls Read Too book group that I follow on Facebook was doing a readathon. And so, I've struggled with reading this year. I set my goal, as many others did at the beginning of the year, to 200 books because I had such a vibrant and productive year last year. But I didn't realize how much my mother's passing would affect me in very unique ways. And so what I want to say is this: if you have had to deal with emotions pertaining to the passing of a loved one, whether recently, whether you feel that it has been a while, whatever the timing may be, this is a book that I would recommend to you. I do review and give it 5 out of 5 stars. If I could give it 50 out of 50, I would, because it takes a different approach to how we perceive grief. And one of the things that I have had to think so heavily about since my own mother left this earth is legacy, and what that looks like. I will say my mother was such a beautiful soul. She was the most beautiful soul I have ever experienced in this lifetime. And it's interesting because as her caregiver for the past 5 years of her life before she passed on, we were as close could get. I lost my father. We lost my father in 2007, and it just became sort of this covenant that I had with the divine to honor not just him in his passing and in his life, of course, but also to honor my mother. And when she was diagnosed with cancer in 2019, I sort of reintroduced that promise to God, that I would do everything in my power to honor her life, and in her passing I would do everything to honor her legacy. And that's where I've left off with now. This was not a difficult to get through, but there was a lot of purging and releasing and a lot of just healing that came from reading through this. I love my mother, and I know she loves me. And this book just reminds me that it is okay to grieve. It is okay to grieve. There are going to be days when you're okay, and there are going to be days when you're not. That longing, that even sometimes overwhelming desire to have your person to be able to talk to call, to hug, to experience that unconditional love that they've shown you and they've built within you, is something that maybe never will go away. But I know that, and it has been confirmed in reading this book, which, again, I can't even begin to tell you how wonderful and timely it was to read someone else's story and it resonates so deeply. This is a book that needs to be readily available to any and everyone, including myself. I'm sure this is not the first nor the last time that I will touch it and read it and share it and recommend it. And I encourage you to go out and grab a copy, pass it along to someone who you may know is struggling, or just someone who you know might benefit from perceiving grief in a different light. One of the things that I know in these past almost 5 months since my mother left this earthly realm is that it has made me softer, really, really soft. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because the opposite of soft is what? Hard or strong. And it was one of those things that my mom always tried to impart with me, is that, you don't have to be so hard. You don't have to be strong for everyone. It's okay. It's okay to let your guard down. It's okay to be vulnerable. And every time I think about her, all I see is her smile. She had the most beautiful smile. If you met her, if you even just saw her pictures, you could feel her joy through her smile. And it wasn't, like the author is saying, it wasn't that fake smile or that forced smile that sometimes you get from folks. This was coming from her being. And, before she passed on, I would hear the same compliment come to me when I was even with her. And I knew that all I had to do was look in the mirror if I needed her. Her energy surrounds me every single day. She's with me every single day. And this love, this unconditional love that she's given to me in this life will go on and infinitely so in so many ways. And I'm just blessed to know that I can continue her legacy and impact and change the course for other people. What gives me so much solace is that I see her in me, in her healing capabilities, and even my own. And that's where I feel I find my most beneficial purpose. So Again, I encourage you to grab a copy of this book. It is phenomenal. Thank you so much.